What's going on, guys? We are back. We are talking Rostermania for the European RLCS X. From fall split to winter split, there was a trade window. Let's explain the trade window real quick. Basically, teams get one trade. They get one addition to the roster per season. So there's two trade windows. One was between fall and winter. The other one was between winter and spring. So if a team did replace someone and added someone to their team during this split, then they can't do it the next split. The outside case is like, say it's a sub. They usually, I think we'll just give them a new sub if that's the case. So it is a 3/4 rule, but realistically it's a 2/3 rule as long as you're only subbing out subs. That's what it seems like due to the special circumstances so far handed out by Psyonix. So what that means, again, if your team made a move this split, they can't make a move in the spring split unless they want to forfeit all their points, which might be the case for some of these teams because at that point they're not really playing for a world championship. They're playing for, the $100,000 tournaments that are happening in that spring split. So let's just go down the line. We're going to look at the RLCS X rankings, and we're just going to go down the line and tell you about some of the moves that have happened. Now, we're going to start in deductions here real quick. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, and you'll see when we get to big numbers in this column. 330 points for Barrage. They lose all their points that they had because they made some roster moves. So for them, let's go over and look at them because I'm actually unclear who went where. I think most of them just kind of moved around. Yeah, it seems like Barrage basically imploded. They've all joined other, bubble-ish teams, but at the end of the day, I'm not too focused on Barrage. No offense to them for this video, but the big one is the Barca squad and Libertas. I didn't realize that Libertas. See, I keep forgetting who is losing points or not. So ex-Barca is basically the old Barca squad. Ronicky, Devo, and Itachi, they've all moved to different teams. So what happened there was Itachi joined a team, and then it seemed like last minute that Ronicky's like, oh, I don't have a roster because Devo also joined a team, and then Ronicky got on one as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. Then Libertas, I actually want to see what happened here because some of them, there's been a lot of moves, and some of them go under the radar because, again, they're not at the top, really competing for a world championship spot, but they still might be able to make some moves. So looking here, they just completely disbanded. So Rizex is gone, and then all of them have left. I want to see who joined who because I can't remember exactly where they went. So we're just going to go along with this. See if Rizex is on any team. So Rix Ronde, let's see what team he's on right now. He's on Wolves Esports. Let's see who's on that squad because, again, these are the lower-end teams. I believe Wolves did qualify. So Rix, Oli, and Louis, they qualified for this tournament. And then I'm not sure where Mike Boy went to Redemption, which I'm not sure if they qualified or not. Cash, Mike Boy, and Asalan, which I don't know if they've qualified. But we'll look at the bracket in a little bit here. And then Rizex, really quick, he's on the new Barcelona. They did not qualify, so keep that in mind for this first regional. That is Taz, Blurry, and Rizex. So there you go. So those are a little bit on the lower end players and teams, but who knows? These guys are the ones that can get that big upset in a double limb bracket, so watch out for them. So Libertas, they're gone. So is Barca, so is Barrage. Now we're going to go back up to the top and see how these moves went, and we're going to try and grade them, I guess, for now, because I know people like when I grade these things. I'm not sure why. Anyway, BDS, it's the same exact roster. That is, of course, what's going to happen. Vitality, Top Blokes as well, and Endpoint, all the same rosters, and Galaxy Racer. So top 5, no moves there, which, that's to be expected to a certain case. Giants were the first big surprise because they were competing basically for a top 4 spot pretty much the entire fall split. They were in a world championship spot right now. They decided to make a move. They got rid of Tox, which was a big deal. Tox was the one that got banned in Regional 3. That's why they only have 30 points here. In the middle of Regional 3, and then they didn't do so well. Tox, a very talented player, but obviously probably some issues going on if, he's getting banned in the middle of tournaments. So Tox no longer on the team, and they bring in Itachi from Barca, which I think is a pretty strong move. I don't know if it's the greatest. Tox was playing really well, and Itachi, I felt like he was getting there. He looks like one of those players that keeps getting better and better. So Like, I'll give it, like, maybe a C+, I guess. Like, if C is an average, I would give it a slight upgrade just because of, a new mindset on the team. But Itachi has to show up like what Toxo is doing on the Giants. But I think that's possible. Like, I think they stay a World Championship contending team. So that was probably one of the best the Giants could get. Like, honestly, like, obviously, I'm going to say Ronicky might have been a better choice personally. But a lot of people are high on Itachi. So good on them for Giants making that move. The next move, Guild Esports. Well, Scrub Killa is no longer on the team. As you can see down here, Scrub Killa is gone. Devo joins the squad. Now, this squad obviously has a ton of issues. We've talked about this a lot. And I don't think they all necessarily fall on Scrub. I think it is a team as a whole issue. So bringing in Devo, on one side, it's great that you're bringing in a veteran, but Devo has never been known to be like that big leader type. He's a very quiet individual that, like, I don't know if he's going to right that ship, obviously, which I don't know if they necessarily need to do that. Maybe they just needed, to bring in another talented player, and we'll see what happens. Now, with Devo playing mostly defense, I think that helps his team a bit. Then, though, can do his ball chasing mentality that he likes to do, and there won't be as many double commits. We'll see if that is the case. I personally think that this is a downgrade. There's been team-related issues, obviously, which you have to get rid of. But on the field, I would have to give this, like, a D for Devo. Because Scrub Killa, he's still a talented player. I think he's better than Devo. But Devo has looked good this season. So we'll see because, again, of the internal issues, that's what it seems like a lot of these teams are making moves for. We'll see if that will show up on the field. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Because if it doesn't show up on the field, then why bother? Like, I guess to be happier, which is good. But you know what makes everyone happy? Winning. So, there you go. So, that is Devo joining there. That's another one of those Barca guys. Fadeaway. One of the biggest moves, I think, of the offseason. So, Asalan is no longer on the team. Yukio joins the team from Dignitas. So, this is a very, very good move. I'd say B to B+, somewhere around there. Because, like, Yukio's look pretty good. Like, I thought we kind of knew that Dignitas was eventually going to get rid of Yukio, it seemed like, because Scrub Killa, he kind of leaked out that, like, he almost joined Dignitas for that spot a while ago as well. And Yukio, he didn't look great last season up until they made it to Worlds, and he really popped off, for Season 8, I should say. And then Season 9, he looked pretty strong as well. So Yukio, I think, was on the up and up on that squad. But obviously, Dignitas did not get the results they wanted in the fall split. They just brought in Jorius, so Von Panda's probably like, well, let's just bring in another 1v1 superstar in apparently Jack and see if they can work around that. I'm not sure about that just yet, but Yukio joining Fadeaway is a huge upgrade for Fadeaway. Fadeaway's been one of the more, that they finished, I think, top 9 in every single one or something like that, at the very least. Like, Fadeaway's been looking great. They have a lot of veterans on this team that have been around for a while. I think they have a chance to make a splash in this style of tournament. So Fadeaway, I like them. I like what they're doing here, at least a B+. Moving on. Now, again, that is a Fadeaway that is 8th in points right now. And now they bring in Yukio for Asan. They could compete, possibly for one of those top 6 spots. It really comes down to these double limbs. Like, if some team loses a bad set somewhere. Like, Fadeaway was one of those teams that would go 3-2 a lot. So, in the previous split. So, it's like, we'll have to see how it all plays out. Next up, Dignitas. We just talked about them, but bringing in apparently Jack for Yukio. Apparently, Jack and Jorius really good friends, so that might help with the chemistry there. Von Panda trying to build around himself once again. But, like, apparently Jack, sure, he was probably the best player on his old team with Stormtroopers or Rix.gg, but it still wasn't like, oh my god, like, he's going to be, like, the next greatest thing. Like, I think he's a very solid player, and I've been behind him a lot. But I think this is a move made by Dignitas that is a desperation move, maybe, just slightly, of, like, we need to make to top 6. Fall split did not go our way. We're supposed to be a World Championship team. We need to make a blockbuster move now. So it looks like that's what they did. But at the same time, when you have apparently Jack, when, again, looking at players like Ronicky, who last minute got picked up by a different team, like, I think if people thought Ronicky was on the field or was able to be picked up, maybe some of these moves would have changed a little bit. Because, like, apparently Jack, he was on the team with Dignitas before Ronicky even knew that he was going to be a free agent and all that. So that's always the hard part about these trade windows of, like, you don't know who's actually available until it might be too late. And I think that kind of happened to Dignitas there. That's if Ronicky would even go there. Who knows? So Dignitas picking up apparently Jack for Yukio. I would give this one a C, just right on average. We'll see if apparently Jack can build into this team, but at the same time, like, you don't have time to, like, try and slowly work this team out. Because if you have a bad split two, it's it. It's over. You're not going to have a chance at top six. So Dignitas, they've been known to, when they bring in players, it takes a little while to learn the new way to play, and it's like, it's going to be iffy. It's going to be iffy early on for Dig, so they need to have a really good regional one, because if they don't, if they bomb out, then it's a little bit troubling at that point. Next up, Solari coming out. And Solari, they get Tox. They part ways with Yukis. Now, he was the late addition to the team where they just kind of were like, oh, it's last second. We have to pick up someone. Yukis, join us and save us. So it always seemed like he was that third man on that team for Solari. And so now they get rid of him and replace him with a huge upgrade in Tox. Now, it just comes down to those mentality issues. But on the field, Tox is a very, very solid player. And I think they needed this because, for me, this team has always been one of those teams that doesn't really have that great of an identity. They're just kind of like par for the course. With Tox, this might add a little bit of pizzazz to their squad, so we'll see how it works out. I'll give this one a B+ as well because Solari could wind up being World Championship contenders now. They honestly didn't have a bad fall split, as you can see here, tied for 9th as well. But it was nothing great. Like, I never thought they would go into a playoff bracket and win a quarterfinal game. Now, with Tox, who knows? We'll see how they all play. But once again, any of these roster moves, you have to get ready so quick because for Europe, we start tomorrow. So they need to practice like crazy to be ready for this first regional because if you have one bad series, you're down in that lower bracket and then you don't know who you're going to play and it could get scary. So Solar, good move there. Overall, a pretty big upgrade. Triple Trouble, same exact roster. Team Queso, let's go over to them. The old Magnifico roster. They got rid of Greasy, which was kind of known before the major was going to happen. Bringing in Saline, I think it's how you say it. I don't know too much about him. I'm not caught up on his achievements, so I'm going to leave this one as a question mark. We'll see how it goes. This team's pretty talented. They obviously overperformed, making a top 4 in Regional 1 and kind of rode that out through the rest of the fall split. But we'll see how this plays out. I'm going to leave this as a question mark. I'm not really sure what's going to happen yet with this squad. Moving on, we'll go down a little bit further. Oxygen, they haven't done anything, so it's the same roster there. You could say they didn't do anything in the fall split as well, and you would be pretty accurate. But moving on, Team Liquid, I think, also got a huge upgrade as well. Now, this is going to seem weird because Team Liquid, they got rid of Kuxir, which is very strange. And then we saw on Twitter from Kuxir, he never tweets, LFT, the first time in RLCS history that Kuxir is looking for a team. So he got booted for Ronicky. It seemed like a very late addition because Ronicky, about 24 hours before that, was like, I guess I'm a free agent, and I didn't realize that this was about to happen. And then 24 hours later, we see Kuxir with the LFT tag. Kuxir joined up with Flakes and Rezi to see what they could do, and it didn't go too well in the first qualifier. They are not in Regional 1. So no Kuxir for the first time in RLCS history in ever. So pretty big news there. But Ronicky joining this team, I am really high on Ronicky. I think he's one of the best strikers we have in the game. We'll see what he can do on this team. If Speed is playing well, I think that is always the case for Team Liquid. Then we'll see what happens. But now, with Ronicky, their offense should definitely get better. It comes down to the defensive side. We'll see how it all works out. Speed obviously plays a lot of defense here or there. But Kuxir, is known to be more of that passive, slow play type. So now bringing in Ronicky, that should change up the pace there a bit for Team Liquid. So I like this move a lot. I'm going to give this move to a B+ as well, I think. Right now, I haven't been sold on the complete package of an A or an A+. But Ronicky, I think he's one of the best players in Europe. So it's a very good move. It's just Kuxir, you're losing that legend, and I get why you would do it, but he's always been clutch for this squad. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But I think Team Liquid definitely have upgraded as well. Moving on, that's pretty much it, except for Team Singularity. And we'll talk about Rick's, I guess, here really, really quick. So Team Singularity, moving on, and poor Godsmilla. Godsmilla gets benched again. They haven't even updated this, I guess. But Scrub Killa has joined the team. Godsmilla, he's out once more. I don't know if he's actually joined any other team or if he's just a sub for them. Looks like he's just a sub for them right now. So Scrub Killa joins this team. I think this is an upgrade as well. But Scrub, he's been the talk of the town throughout this fall split and guild as a whole. Well, now he's been booted off 3 teams in the span of, a year? So it's not looking great for Scrub. This is also why he probably had to play on a team like Team Singularity. You probably have to pick a team that's outside the top 16 because no one wants to jeopardize their points that they have, unless you're outside top 16 where it's like, well, we have to do well in Split 2. If we don't, it doesn't matter anyway what our points are. So Scrub joins them for Split 2. And this is not a bad move at all for Team Singularity because there's only a benefit to this. Because if they do completely implode in Split 2, well, they wouldn't have made the World Championship anyway. They can completely redo their roster for the last split, and they don't have to worry about points. All right? But if Scrub does play incredibly well, like we know he can, joined up with Gibbs and Breezy, that's a pretty solid squad. So they can make some waves. I don't know if it's World Championship waves, but I think they can definitely start flirting by moving up in Split 2 and see how many points they can get. Now, keep in mind, they weren't top 16, but right now they are 16th because of all the other booted teams and all that stuff. Like Team Liquid was 16, now they're 14th. So 2 teams that were above them, they have disbanded. So that's 2 less teams that you have to pass to be in one of those World Championship coveted spots. Now, once again, just keep in mind that the winter split is you bank all your points from the fall split and you start over in the winter split. So we're going to look over here really quick. So that was basically all the roster moves. I'll give Scrub joining that team as well a B+. I feel bad for Godsmilla, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and Scrub is a very talented player in my mind. So let's look over what is happening. Basically, you got seeded based on your fall RLCS split, and these are your seeds here. So you got 1 through 8. One of the big pluses is Fadeaway. They actually get that bye because of Barca not here anymore. They would have been a top 8 team. Instead, Fadeaway gets that spot. So it's good for them. So as you can see, here's the whole lineup. Obviously BDS, Fadeaway, Endpoint, Galaxy, Vitality Guild, Blokes, and Giants were all the top 8 teams. Teams will have to play into them to see who plays there, and then we go down to the lower bracket. One thing to keep in mind that this first winner's round, you get a lower bracket bye. Basically, when you come down here, you will play a loser from round 2, but they will be obviously a better team because they'll be seeded higher, or if they've already won their first match. So it comes down to more of like placement of seeds there. But just a giant double limb. When they get points for this, then that's the only points that matter, that and the winter grid for seeding in Regional 2. We get rid of the fall points completely. They're banked. They are there when you need it for the World Championship. But when you want to qualify for this major, which is still up in the air of how many teams it is, it's all going to come down to what you do in the winter split. So even if you were a team that wasn't that great in the fall split, like a Team Liquid, it doesn't matter. Everyone begins this with 0 points. You might have a worse seed. Sure, Team Liquid playing Vitality probably, but Vitality has 0 points, Team Liquid has 0 points, and we're going to go from there. So keep all that in mind. Rostermania is upon us. Europe, they're getting ready to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The grid's coming back for North America as well. We probably won't have videos on that, but we will do another Rostermania update for you guys for NA right before NA begins, and then we'll talk about the moves that happened there. We'll probably also talk about that first grid as well, because grid has changed. But that'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the RLCS desk. Bye-bye.